Hey, what's up, what's up? This is Dominic Olivo with another one of your YouTube video vlogs here, and I don't have a whole lot of time on for you on today, but I do wanted to use this time to do a reflections video. I have my breakfast and coffee sitting right in front of me, so I'm going to go ahead and tell this personal story. Like I said, this is a personal reflections video, and as most of you know, you see me wearing this coronavirus t-shirt, and the reason why I'm doing this is because around this time, 3 years ago, the world changed. Yes, we underwent the coronavirus pandemic. The New York State announced a state of emergency, and I figure why not use this time to do this reflections video. So as stated before, today is the 3-year anniversary of the coronavirus pandemic, and I didn't have anything planned for this particular segment, but I will have a YouTube video in the coming days. I hope most of you were able to enjoy my amateur karaoke videos. If you enjoy my content thus far, I definitely will intend to have more video content in the later months. But for today, like I said, I'm using this time to do a reflections video. So around this time, on March 11th, 2020 was when the coronavirus pandemic began. I live in New York State, particularly in Ulster County, and I was not made aware of this until I found out via social media. Now, during that time, I was actually at a doctor's appointment, and I'm in Poughkeepsie, so my doctor's appointment was in Poughkeepsie, New York. Those of you may have already known this story that I have UC. It's a chronic condition involving the small intestine, so I had to go get that checked out. And I wasn't made aware until someone had posted on social media that there was a state of emergency for New York State. So everyone was pretty much panicking, and they were pretty much worked up because when I went to the grocery stores, particularly because I do work in retail, I noticed that the shelves were very empty, and I didn't understand why. There was a shortage of food items, there was a shortage of toiletries, necessities, things of that nature. You know, thinking back 3 years ago, I was just being naive and minding my own business, and like I said, I was out of town and I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand why businesses were closing down. I didn't understand where people were running around acting crazy. When I went to work the following week, I see people, you know, because I deal with customers, and like I said, I work in retail, and I didn't understand why people were acting so irrational. You know, I mentioned that around this time marks the Karen era. Yes, I said the Karen era because it seems more and more apparent that the people that I've been dealing with seem to be more entitled and seem to be more rational. When I deal with these people, I basically ask them how their day is, and they'll neither respond or they won't say anything. And then there are those people that act very irrational, and when they get things about the coronavirus pandemic, because those of you know that the coronavirus particularly is a virus that involves your lungs. So when you get infected by this, it affects everything in your body, and it's supposed to affect most people, particularly in the 60s demo, but it does affect most people. It doesn't particularly affect the young. It's a respiratory illness, and the symptoms of that including chest pains, coughing, wheezing, it makes it hard to breathe. And then when I saw on television, because at the time, like I said, I was being naive, I watched the news and I saw all those people on TV in the hospital bed. They had respiratory issues. They had the what they call these machines, the things that they stick inside your mouth that go down in your chest. They were in a ventilator basically, and I saw that and I remember saying to myself, wow, this is crazy. And then when I saw the number of cases skyrocketed, like, it just threw things off. Like that, the whole coronavirus pandemic, it definitely threw me off guard for sure. Now, it is important to note that New York State was not the only state affected by the coronavirus pandemic. It's all of the United States. Everywhere from the southern states to the western states, each and every one of us were affected. Cases were going up, and also it's important to mention that all the other countries was also affected by the coronavirus. It all started back in January, but it actually started back in December, particularly in Wuhan, China, and I think it has to do with the release of bats. I think that's where the virus originated from. I remember doing a YouTube video sometime within this past year, reading to you of Wikipedia where the virus originally came from. and that spread through most of the United States. I believe it came around January of 2020, but they didn't announce the state of emergency until around this time 3 years ago. And I recall going into work and I didn't really take it seriously. I didn't really think it was a big deal. I mean, sure, it's a virus. You know, I didn't understand what was going on. Now, in regards to full disclosure, I'm not going to disclose exactly where I work at, but I do work as a cashier and a bagger, and I do work in retail. I'm not going to give the title of the location of where I work, but I do deal with customers, and I am genuinely good with the people. I am genuinely good with the public. I've been with them now for almost 7 years now. It started back in July of 2016, and the pandemic didn't come until 4 years later. So when I deal with these people, like I said before, I didn't take this serious. You know, I didn't understand why people were acting very irrational. I had maybe one lady come to me and was like, you know, you need to use sanitizer, you need to use tissues, you need to put your mask on, basically belittling me and telling me what to do with my job. I had another customer come over to me and was like, you know, scan these items in the bag, but she didn't want me to touch her bag. She didn't want me to touch the items in her bag, but she wanted me to scan the items. How am I supposed to do that if I can't see what's in the bag? I had maybe another customer was checking out like cookies. They were in the bulk section and I couldn't see what was in the bag. I couldn't count how many cookies there were because they were in the bag. They were stuffed in the paper bags. So things like that, you know, when I'm dealing with these irrational customers, some of these people are very sensitive. Some of these people are entitled. Like I said, I don't deal with just the good people, but sometimes I do deal with the irrational, and that's been getting to me for the past couple of weeks. It wasn't so much the virus that I was afraid of, I was more so afraid of the people because some of these people were getting pretty volatile. I was opening up one morning and I used to do opening and closing, and when I would open the store, it was early in the morning, and these people, it was like the first 30, 40 people, they stormed into the store, and I remember because we had that whole toilet paper dispute, and people were they were hoarding the toilet paper, and I remember seeing like over 50 customers coming into my line first thing at 6 or 7 in the morning, and I usually don't see these people come into the store. I was coming into work another time and I saw the whole parking lot was filled with lots of cars. They were all filled. And I'm saying to myself, what is going on? Like, these people are coming into our stores. The parking lot is filled. There's so much traffic. Everyone was panicking. I didn't understand what was going on. When our former governor at the time, Governor Cuomo, announced that we were going to be on lockdown for several months, I was very overwhelmed. I feel like I couldn't do anything. The only things I could do were to go shopping, go to work, and come home. I couldn't hang with my friends. I couldn't hang with my brothers. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't basically travel. Everything was restricted. There was no transportation. Buses were shut down. Trains were shut down. Everything was shut down. So May, April through June was a really bad time. Cases were going up too. Everyone was in the hospital. Most people were affected, and the hospital rooms were very full. I saw on TV that New York State had these tents, and basically there were people in ventilators, and a lot of people have died from the virus. I recall seeing on TV that, I think because they were running out of places to bury people, I saw the whole thing, and it's crazy seeing all these things going on TV. And then we're looking at our cases, and we're basically trying to process everything that's going on around us. Now, in regards to my YouTube content that you see, this is where I'm going to go into full detail about my videos that I've made thus far since 2020. Those of you know that I have 2 YouTube accounts. I have the main page, which was created in 2008, and I also have the hiking and travel page, which was created in 2018, November of 2018. So I started using that because I was going out with my friends. You see me do the bike vlogs, you see me do all these things, and then you see me do all these videos of my step dancing, my quarantine videos. So this is where the idea of my quarantine karaoke came into play, because at one point I used to go to church, I used to be active, I used to go to open mic venues, I used to greet and meet people, I used to be sociable, I used to do karaoke. So that tells you a backstory, and I know I mentioned this before in my previous videos, but I'm going to recap everything that I've stated, and how this whole quarantine video got started, because basically I was running out of ideas and I couldn't go anywhere. Like I said, when we were on lockdown, I couldn't spend time with friends. So I had to be innovative and improvise what I already have based on the equipment. Most of my videos, you see that I record off of my laptop or my digital cameras or even my phone. I don't own expensive equipment. These are amateur videos for a reason. So I was just doing my best to be creative at that time based on what I've already been given. I know I'm not a very popular person, but as I mentioned before in the past, I do these videos off of my free will. So this was the opportunity while we were in this pandemic lockdown and we couldn't go anywhere. This was an opportunity for me to be as expressive and to come up with ideas. And so when I did quarantine karaoke's, the videos that you've seen, I pretty much sung songs from different genre of artists and pretty much going along those lines. And honestly, I was pretty bored with my time. I couldn't go anywhere. Like I said, when we were on lockdown, I didn't have anything to do. So this was an opportunity to revisit my past hobbies, things that I like to do for fun, things that I enjoy. One of those things that you might have saw was my drawings. And also, I did like to sing. I still like to sing sometimes. I still like music. I've gotten more into step dancing, but early this year, I started to revisit my karaoke and I started to put these pieces together because at one point, at the end of 2021, I want to say before my birthday, I ran out of ideas, so I implemented this idea because I used to go to college and I saw these group of young ladies do some step dancing and it made me inspired to want to learn step dancing. I know it seems kind of strange and odd that a guy like myself in my early 30s would learn how to step dance, but nonetheless, I took an interest of that. So I looked up these YouTube tutorials on how to do some step dancing, and that's where this whole idea came into play in late 2021. And then most of 2022, you saw most of my videos of my step dancing. You haven't really been seeing a lot of my singing videos until early this year. So there's that. But in regards to the pandemic, personally, I'm thankful that I wasn't affected by COVID-19 because vaccines did not come out until about 2021. So for the past 18 months, from March going into 2021, we didn't have any vaccines. They were still being processed. The doctors and physicians at the time, they were still looking through trials and they were experimenting. They were using different, particularly animals. They wanted to experiment with these vaccines. Now, I know some of you may have mixed feelings about it, but I'm the type of person that, goes with my own gut intuition because I don't believe in bias. You'd be amazed to see how much bias goes out there, especially on social media. The stuff that you read, the news that you watch is not always accurate. When in doubt, go with your gut intuition and always ask questions. That's what I did throughout this entire time. Whenever I go to my doctors to visit, my GI doctor, because I said before, I have UC, and I was asking questions because I didn't understand what the purpose of the vaccines were. The COVID vaccines, they were supposed to help treat us, prevent us from getting severe COVID. So even if we were to get COVID, there's a possibility that we will not be on the ventilators. Even if we did get COVID, we still have a chance of not being physically sick or dying. So over the course of the next few months going into mid-2021, we start to see a sense of normalcy. We start to see that things were getting back into place. Businesses were opening up. And stores, traffic, public transportation was up and running. People were able to go out. And like I said, we were starting to get a sense of normalcy. Vaccines were being distributed, and yes, I did get the vaccines. I went to the doctor's office and got one of the three vaccines. There were three vaccines: the Moderna, the Pfizer, and the J&J. At the time, I got the Pfizer. I got the first 3 doses. I got the first dose at the end of April, and the next dose in May of 2021. And then I didn't get the third shot until the following year in January. That was the booster shots. The booster shots came in later in the month between 2021 going into 2022. So, as I mentioned before, I know some people may feel some type of way, but I did ask questions. And though I struggle with critical thinking, I do use my gut intuition, and like I said, I ask questions. I inquire some information. And to me, in my experience, I didn't experience anything. I didn't get any rashes or bumps or anything. If anything, the vaccines, what they did was help me to prevent getting severe COVID-19. And as a result of these vaccines, like I said, I wasn't affected. I still had an appetite, and I like to eat, and I wasn't severely sick. I mean, though I was slightly lightheaded, I wasn't really that sick. I got my second booster shot also back in November, so it was a couple of months ago, and it is important to note that yes, you could get both vaccines, both the COVID vaccine and the flu shot. And I'll tell you from personal experience, I still felt fine. I felt slightly lightheaded the day when I got the vaccine, but when I woke up the next day, everything was fine. The only thing that I felt was soreness in the arms, but otherwise I was still able to maintain a regular diet, I was still able to move around, and I was still able to function. So there's that. That was just my personal experience. I can't speak for everybody else's experience, but when in doubt, like I said, go with your gut intuition, read or research as much as you can, and ask questions. Not all vaccines apply to everybody, but if you have to, do what you have to do to be informed, and go with your gut intuition. Trust what you need to do in order to protect yourself from getting COVID. But on my case, like I said, the vaccines, when I got both the vaccines back in November, I felt fine. The only pain that I felt was in my arms and slight lightheadedness, and most of the time I just felt tired. So that's that. So once again, I hope I didn't tune your ears out, but I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video because like I said, I don't have a whole lot of time, and I actually do have some errands to run, but I just wanted to tell this story based on my personal experience. I can't speak for everybody else's experience, like I said, because I don't know everybody's situation, but a lot has changed in the past 3 years. And I'll admit, we're not exactly where we are, but we made progress. Since the whole 2020 toilet paper dispute and the whole Karen era, we've come a long way since then. But I know there's some things that we still have to work on. There's still some slight improvements, and like I said, I can only tell this story from personal experience. But like I said, if you enjoyed this video, like I said, I'll have more video content, and on my travel page, I know there's not a lot going on right now. We didn't get any snow or anything, but the weather is starting to warm up, so you will be seeing some content on my other page. But as always, if you enjoyed this, if there's anything that I did not mention, please let me know, but otherwise, I think I've covered pretty much the basics. I know that the COVID-19 pandemic was definitely a life-altering experience that happened to each and every one of us Americans for the past 2-3 years. I know, like I said, that this was a life-altering experience. Most of us lost our loved ones. Most of us also lost our jobs. But everything is starting to get back into place. We're starting to see a sense of normalcy. People are getting their vaccines, and we are still getting items on the shelves, though we may be on shortages. Most of the shelves do get stocked, and there have been some improvements. I tend to be the person, like I said in my first video that I did back in January, that I tend to look at things from an optimistic point of view. I like to look at things from an optimistical point of view, like there are some advancements that are being done, there's progress being done. I don't like to look at things negatively. The COVID-19 pandemic was definitely a wake-up call, but it's also a reminder to each and every one of us why we shouldn't take life so seriously, because we only have a limited number of time on this earth. We shouldn't take life so seriously, and if anything, this pandemic has been a reminder to why it is important for each and every one of us to love one another, to be respectful, to show gratitude, show some form of gratitude. Be grateful for the things that you do have and for the life that you're trying to go for. Be grateful for the times that you do wake up, the times that you do get up to show up to work. Things like that. Having a sense of gratitude, having a sense of thankfulness. Thankful for the ones that are still around, and like I said, to not take life so seriously, because like I said, we don't have a whole lot of time on this earth, so we have to make use of our time with each other, but also to ourselves. So I believe that's all the video that I have for you on today. I hope you enjoyed this video segment. If you're still around, please be on the lookout for my next video content, which will be out this next Tuesday. I do intend to have another YouTube karaoke amateur video, so if you like that, you'll definitely enjoy these next couple of videos, and I'll talk to you guys soon.